and economic benefits to the state's economy, our university system, our community colleges, our tribal colleges. They all are part of the effort that contributes to greater workforce preparation, improves public health, increases levels of civic participation, all while also decreasing the rates of poverty, incarceration, and the unemployment rate. Now, in Arizona, it is both, we call it both a pipeline issue as well as an investment issue. You have seen that fewer than half of our high school students are academically qualified to enroll in any one of our public universities. And as you also saw on that earlier slide, we lose a lot of children along the way. Now, the Governor's P20 Council is one of those entities that is working to connect that pipeline, to connect the K-12 system, our community colleges, our universities, our trade schools, to continue to build the levels of cooperation that are going to address these challenges. But we have to recognize at the higher education level, again, how important it is and how it is important for us to continue to build and enhance the strong partnerships that our universities have developed across this state. Now, in recent years, Governor Napolitano at the time, the legislature, did actually take action to address one of the most serious issues facing our universities, which is our capital needs. Over $500 million in deferred maintenance needs were addressed last year in a bond package that the legislature approved and the governor signed into law. And while we appreciate that and other activities that have been carried out over the years by our policymakers, clearly we have much more to do, particularly in the area of access. Now, currently Arizona invests only $10 million in its need-based financial aid program for our students, which is known as the Arizona Financial Aid Trust. $10 million. When you compare Arizona to like-sized states and the investment that has been made by those states in their need-based financial aid that has allowed qualified students to pursue their dreams of a higher education and contribute to our society as they move forward. Colorado, $55 million compared to Arizona's $10 million. The state of Washington, again, a like-sized state in terms of population, $167 million compared to Arizona's $10 million. The state of Indiana, $281 million compared to Arizona's $10 million investment. Now, you will hear from some policymakers, hey, we have doubled student financial aid programs in the past several years. And you know what? They're correct. We were at $5 million just a few years ago. We have doubled our investment, but it pales in comparison to the investment other states are making. Now, I've shared with you some of the university's resource needs, but now what I want to do is share with you some of the details on the operating side. And as you can see here, state funding comprises only 30% of the university's operating budgets. That means that the majority of the university's operating funds has to come from tuition, grants, gifts, other sources. Remove any one piece of this pie, or any sliver of a piece of this pie, and it has a devastating impact on the ability of our universities to not only contribute to the production, the degree production, that 18,000 bachelor's degrees that I talked about earlier, but have any hope of achieving the goal of doubling our degree production in the next 10 years. So what does all this mean? Well, it means, frankly, that, again, we are in a crisis. We're in a crisis, and it is not widely known here in Arizona or in this country. When you look back at the history of our nation, we have had 8 generations of Americans. And just about every generation was faced with some challenge. And each and every one of those generations met that challenge, whether it was leading the world into the Industrial Revolution, or whether it was waging and winning 2 world wars, or whether it was winning the race to the moon. Each generation met the challenge and passed to the next generation of Americans a society that was better educated, more prosperous, and more secure. We stand to be the first generation in 8 generations of Americans to be the first generation to hand off to the next generation a country that is less educated, less prosperous, less secure. So what are we doing about it? That's what the Coalition for Solutions to Higher Education is all about. You have it at your place, and if you don't, we have extra cards here. Just raise your hand and Pamela will hand one off to you. A card. And it's very simple. Our request is for you to join our coalition. Allow us to stay in touch with you, keep you informed of some policy options that are being explored at the legislature, possibly policy options that may eventually go to the ballot and allow Arizona voters to speak on this important issue. Our coalition is led by business and community leaders from across this state. Some 7,000 members have joined our effort. The coalition played a major role in last year's efforts to secure that funding for the capital needs of our universities, buildings that we own as taxpayers that have been allowed to deteriorate. That clearly needed to be addressed. The information that I shared with you today is also on our website, and you'll see the address there at the top. And with that, again, I would hope that each and every one of you would join our cause, allow us to keep you engaged. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions. Yes, sir.
Our first question comes from over here.
There are more observations right now.